Thank you all for attending our final presentation in the Graduate School Prep Series. This final topic will be talking about funding your future, as well as talking about kind of some expectations going into graduate school and maybe debunking some thoughts and feelings that some people may have regarding pursuing an advanced degree. All right, so what we'll be going over today, right? It's all about the money. What's available to you as it pertains to funding when you're thinking about your graduate degree. We'll discuss FAFSA, scholarship opportunities, graduate assistantship, tuition waiver, grants, tuition reimbursement, and then kind of, again, talking about those expectations versus reality and some things to consider when you are pursuing your advanced degree. All right, so the FAFSA. If you are eligible for financial aid, more than likely you have filled out the FAFSA for your current degree here at NLU. This is something you will have to fill out again as you are going for your master's degree, if this is an option that you choose to pursue to fund your master's degree. You can find a lot, if not all, of the information at studentaid.gov. There is a plethora of information there. They really walk you through the process. You can even kind of see what you'd be eligible for. You can kind of walk through and mock up based on your current circumstances, how much aid would be available to you. But this website, studentaid.gov, also provides a number of different types of aid information as well, speaking to a lot of the ones that we'll be talking about today: grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. And so we'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into those. But again, to check your eligibility, you can go to fafsa.ed.gov. And then also, like I said, you can kind of mock up and take a look and see what you might be eligible for through studentaid.gov based on your circumstances. All right, so scholarships are gifts. This is a quote directly from Student Aid. They do not need to be repaid. There are thousands of them offered by schools, employers, individuals, private companies, nonprofits, communities, religious groups, and professional and social organizations. So things to note out of this: there are numerous different places you can go to look for scholarships. One place that people don't often think of is their current employer, right? There could be some kind of professional development opportunity or benefit there. If you are currently employed, that's one place I would maybe start. If you are connected to your church or your community in some way, shape, or form, take a look at those opportunities as well. See what kind of scholarships are out there and available. And there's a number of different scholarships for a number of different circumstances, situations, demographics, populations. So there's a number of different ways to go about finding scholarships. Tap into these resources, tap into your network, ask people around who maybe you know have gone to grad school, ask your faculty members, right? Like, when thinking about how to finance your education, it really is about gathering as much information as you can to figure out how you're going to make it happen, right? And again, this also just really enforces one of the things that we really talk about and really push, at least I push for in career, is join professional associations. If you're considering a specific industry, try and join a professional association that's associated with that industry. So for example, I know in our first presentation, there were a lot of individuals that wanted to pursue counseling, right? Join some kind of psychological professional association. They have networking events through there. They have scholarship opportunities available through different professional associations. On top of that, it looks good on your resume. It could look good that you're part of a professional association going into your graduate degree. On top of that, there could be someone that you interview with for a grad program, or faculty at a grad program that you're looking at who are part of that professional association, right? Networking is huge. And it can really pertain to a lot of different aspects of your professional development. And for more information about scholarships, they really lay it all out there for you at studentaid.gov. I cannot preach this resource enough. Studentaid.gov is a great place. I still use it to this day to look up information about my own personal loans that I took out. I use it today to talk to students about scholarship opportunities when they are considering grad school, or, just like, hey, I have a question about financial aid, right? And if they can't immediately get to the financial aid office. So a very, very helpful resource and tool.
So another way that you can pay for grad school is with assistantships. So, there's graduate assistantships, but there's also research assistants or even teaching assistants. And oftentimes this is going to be offered through the school, and you can see whether or not the specific program that you're interested in might offer that. And oftentimes they'll also help you pay for your tuition. So just as an example, I studied communication at Illinois State University, and I got an assistantship through the career center that I worked with, and that helped me pay for my tuition. So that is definitely a benefit to that as well.
All right, grants. And I put this in all caps because more often than not, this is free money. Grants can come from the federal government, your state government, your college or career school, or a private grant. Again, this is directly from student aid. And things to note about this is you can apply for any and every grant that you might be eligible for, right? Most grants do have stipulations as well as scholarships. Check and see what you might be eligible for based on, again, your circumstances. Again, this is free money that you don't have to pay back. This is gifted to youth. Way to associate that, right? G, grants, G, gift. This is free money gifted to you. And then another smart thing to do is track your grant applications and note application deadlines. More often than not, someone may stumble upon a grant and be like, oh, this is a lot of money and this is really going to help me moving forward. And then 3 weeks pass and you realize the deadline was 2 weeks ago, right? So make sure that you find a grant that you're interested in and you're interested in applying. Make sure you jot down somewhere, put it in your phone calendar when that application deadline is so that you don't forget about it, right? This is free money that you could potentially be throwing away by not applying to it, right? So be sure to track these grant applications or any applications you put out there. That even boils down to your grad school applications. And if you can, grants over loans, right? Grants, free money, very slim chance you have to pay any portion of a grant back. But with loans, that's borrowed money, right? So again, grants over loans, try and find as many grants as you possibly can if loans, debts aren't in the cards for you, right? Like debt ideally isn't great for anybody, but if you can manage it and that's a way to finance your education, great, but consider grants before loans.
And then one other thing we want to talk about finance-wise is tuition reimbursement. So a lot of times companies will have money set aside for tuition reimbursement for students. So if you're not sure about this, you can always ask your current employer. So if you're currently working somewhere either full-time or part-time, it's possible that the company might have benefits for you to be able to go to graduate school and have them pay for it, at least a portion of it. So if you're not sure about this and you are currently working and thinking about grad school, you can always talk with your current employer to see if that would be a potential option for you.
All right, so this is an opportunity to kind of just chit chat. You can pop something in the chat. We can address your answer. So based on the number of different financing options that we're throwing out there, is anyone considering any of those options? Has anyone not thought of any of those options? Where have people been at kind of with their thought process when it comes down to financing your master's degree or your advanced degree? Feel free to unmute yourself at any point to answer this question, or you can pop it into the chat. And for those watching the recording, just kind of take some time to sit and reflect on, what are these options? Have I looked into any of these options? And are any of these options for me or not for me?
Hi, my name's Helen Weston, and I've just completed the ABS program and thinking about going back in January. So I have not thought about the process of the grants and things like that. I didn't qualify for a lot of funding through this program.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons is because you have a cap on, I want to make sure I say this right, you have a cap on how much you can get from the government over a lifetime. And so I had reached that with going to school stopping. So this is good information to have. Because I do want to continue. I had such a good experience with National Louis, and I finally finished. So
congratulations!
Thank you. So I definitely want to, I'm going to finish listening in on what you have to offer, and definitely take some advantages of the grants and different things.
Yeah, and depending on what program you're leaning towards for your advanced degree, if your thought process is, or if your program that you're considering is a little bit more research based, that's an assistantship is something to really look into. That's a great way to put experience on your resume. It's a great way to fund your education. It's a great way to connect with individuals in the field, right? Like you're connecting with your faculty if you are a research assistant or a graduate assistant. So consider those assistantships for sure when considering your advanced degree moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, and oftentimes with schools, with those assistantships, you can actually search on the school's job page, and they have student opportunities, and if they have assistantships available, that will be a potential thing you could apply for. So make sure to take a look at that as well.
Thanks.
Any other questions, thoughts, ideas at all? Anything?
So these are just going to be my own personal tips for time management. I think this is something that's really beneficial in grad school, but just also in life. One of my favorite things is practicing productive procrastination. Procrastination, sometimes is inevitable. We've all done it, but that doesn't mean that you can't be productive in your procrastination. So if there's a task that seems too big for you to handle at the time, if you have a big research project that you have to be working on, but it just is something that you can't handle at the time, focus on something smaller that still needs to get done and work on that first. And then that can kind of help motivate you to work on the bigger project after that. And then also make sure that you're keeping yourself organized. So one of the biggest things that helps me stay organized is actually having a color-coded planner and a color-coded calendar. And with this, I color code different meetings that I have and everything. And that just helps me stay organized as far as meetings that I have versus tasks that I need to get done. And so whatever helps you stay organized, just make sure that you're doing that to keep yourself organized, especially when it comes with deadlines for applications as well. And then also make sure that you're making time for yourself. Grad school can be a really busy time, but you want to make sure that you're taking some time for yourself as well. So even if it's just 10 minutes out of your day to take a walk or just do something that's a leisure activity for you, and that can help you refocus on what you really need to be working on.
All right. So when I went to grad school, I felt like a huge failure. And I know that seems kind of silly. It's like, well, you're pursuing an advanced degree to better your future, to better your career, to better your education. I felt like it was a huge step back, right? So my misconception was I'm heading back to school, right? I'm digressing and not moving forward towards independence, my job, my career. I'm not living the life that I was hoping to. And so grad school is not a step back. It's simply a pivot. And for those fans out there, that that infamous episode where Ross is trying to get that couch into his apartment and he keeps screaming pivot, just have that notion or that idea or that constant reminder that this is just simply pivoting, right? Like you're just transitioning. It's not necessarily a step back. It is a step forward. Just try and shift that mental state to a positive area. You're pursuing an advanced degree to further your career or accomplish or transition to something new. It may feel like a step back. It may seem like a step back, but it's not. It's not. You're adding something to your resume. You're adding something to your life. You're adding something to your value, if that's how you need to see it. You're pursuing something that is ultimately going to make you better in the end. Again, you may feel like it's a step back. If anything, it's just a side step so that you can move forward on a different track. So again, I just really want to emphasize this, not a step back.
So this was a picture that we shared earlier. It's still one of my favorite things. So, expectations of grad school versus reality. So something that's really important to keep in mind is that your lifestyle in graduate school might differ, especially if you're working while in school and you didn't necessarily have that experience while you were an undergrad. So everyone's going to be, have different grad school experiences. And so Matthew and I have both been through graduate school, but we both had really different experiences. I worked, 20 hours a week doing an assistantship, also while attending classes at night and working on a thesis, as well as trying to find time to do homework as well. So what's important to understand is that no experiences are going to be alike, and the process for applying is consistent, but once you've actually gotten into the program, there's a lot of different types of experiences and preferences that people will have. So we've given you a snapshot of the basic information that you'll need for graduate school, along with a few different resources, but it's also important that you're doing your own research. So if you have specific schools in mind, make sure that you're taking a look at those requirements for the programs that you're interested in, and be sure to reach out to those program coordinators as well, because they'll be able to give you more information about different requirements.
All right, so that's really kind of brings us to the end here. But I really want to, there are some things that, to piggyback on what Olivia was saying about your expectations versus reality. I think that, especially with today's topic of funding your future, one of the heavier topics, in my opinion, right? Like, I want to do this thing. I feel like I need to do this thing, but financially, I don't feel like I can. And so one big thing that kind of stuck out to me when we were researching this topic and really trying to pull together some information and resources for you all is one thing that, and I know I did this at first, I wasn't going to, but I realized that although it may be a little more stressful while you're in graduate school, you can work, right? Like work, whether it's full-time or part-time, to try and even eliminate some of those costs for graduate school. So whatever you are making, you're maybe splitting half in half. Some of it going towards paying for school, and the other half going towards, your living situation. So just some things to consider while you're moving forward. So with that being said, in this latter half of it, talking kind of about expectations versus reality, your mindset going into grad school, where are people at with pursuing graduate school at this point, right? If you've been with us through all 4 presentations, we've talked about a number of different things, from testing to applications to just starting your search and now to funding. Where are people at right now as it pertains to them pursuing a master's degree or some form of advanced degree? Feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. All right, well, that is the end of our presentation. We will open it up for any general thoughts, questions about the content we displayed today, or any thoughts moving forward. We will open it up for really anything.
Okay, so I see a couple things in the chat. So one student's still finishing up their bachelor's degree. So yeah, feel free to stay in touch, with your career advisor throughout your time, as far as, if you're interested in going into grad school after undergrad. I see another person has recently reached out to the master's program with NLU. That's awesome. Which program have you been thinking about? Okay, the counseling program. Great. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So, feel free to, reach out to your assigned career advisor if you, just want to talk about next steps for grad school. And if you're not sure who that is, I'll put my email in the chat, and you can always reach out to me.
I will also put my name my email in the chat.
So if Matthew and I aren't your career advisor, we can always direct you to the person who is.
Absolutely.